Thank you very much, Darren Hannah, to explain that that size got away. Anyway, the message at the moment is don't tell the weather that for most of us it's a holiday weekend, because it looks as if it's going to behave itself. Now, it's not actually behaving itself across all parts of the country at the moment. In fact, close to the north we have low pressure, and that's going to bring a spell of wet and windy weather. But it doesn't last forever. That moves away into Scandinavia, and then later in the week we have high pressure coming along. That, of course, means the weather will settle down and get fine and dry. The problem is where the high pressure is going to be. It looks as if it's going to be to the north of us. So that means two things. I don't think we're going to promise you a heat wave, and I don't necessarily think we're going to promise you unbroken sunshine, because there'll always be a fair amount of cloud coming around that high. But it's going to be nice nevertheless. Now, during the night we had clear skies for a while. That made the temperature tumble down to 5 degrees in some places, but the clouds have been thickening from the northwest during the course of the day. Still some sunshine to be had in sheltered spots, especially in eastern England, I think, but a fair amount of cloud generally speaking, and some thicker cloud across Scotland and Northern Ireland, turning out to be wet and windy too in the northwest there of Scotland, and that'll be reflected in the temperature. The wind freshening all the while, so it's going to feel cool at 16 or 17 degrees. Enough sunshine, I think, for it to turn out reasonably warm. In southeastern parts, 22 or 23 degrees. Now, as you've heard on the news, we have some important football matches coming along this evening, all of them, I think, taking place on a fine and warm evening. Now, back closer to home, for the north of the country, it looks as if that rain will set in this evening through the night, eventually somewhat clearer weather coming into the north of Scotland. But the main difference as far as England and Wales is concerned is that we'll be under a veil of cloud, and that means to say the temperatures won't fall anything like as low as it did this morning, about 12 degrees countrywide. That front sort of hesitating for a while across parts of Scotland and Northern Ireland tomorrow. Brighter weather to the north of it. Rain for southern Scotland, northern England and Northern Ireland. Maybe some heavy bursts for a while. South of it, it looks as if it's going to be another dry, fairly bright and warmish day, rather like today, in fact. Now, what's left of that weather front will come down towards southern parts on Friday. A very weak affair, weakening all the while, just giving a few spots of rain. Basically a fine day everywhere, and then over the weekend high pressure homes in from the west. It gets dry and bright and indeed reasonably warm. Back to Darren. Thanks.